Day 880 of the Ukrainian War Map, also known as the Russo-Ukrainian War. Juzzie here, and today is a super quick update as I take a simplified and down-to-earth approach to some of the most important happenings on the ground in Ukraine. So, starting off, we'll take a look at those Russian losses, as Russia now sits on more than 570,000 military personnel losses, representing an additional 1,140 in the past day. Then as for hardware losses, 14 tanks, 13 APVs, 65 artillery, and the constant daily trickle of the loss of another air defense system. Then headed across to the map and straight up, not inside of Russia or Ukraine, as in the early hours of this morning, Russian drones launched an attack striking Romania during Moscow's intended strikes on Ukraine's Odessa region port infrastructure. 3 Shahed unmanned aerial vehicles were observed falling in Romania, sparking fires upon impact. Explosions from these drones were reported near to the village of Nikulitel, just 7 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. The fall of these UAVs was verified by Romanian helicopter crew, who reported a fire caused by the drone strikes. Romanian border guards detected the approaching drones at 2:10 a.m., prompting the Romanian Emergency Situations Inspectorate to issue an alert for the region, warning residents about potential aerial threats. Now, events like these have happened before, but not seemingly at a scale like this. It's a military blunder, no doubt about it, but Russia will almost undoubtedly deny it, stating that it was a Ukrainian air defense missile or something of the sort. And although this won't cause NATO Article 5 to be invoked, it's happened enough times now to potentially invoke the lesser-known Article 4 that convenes a council to discuss the situation. Then headed across on the map into Russia now, as Ukrainian unmanned aerial vehicles launched an attack on Akhtubinsk in Russia's Astrakhan region, targeting a military airfield and flight test center. According to reports, one drone successfully struck the territory of a military unit in the area, and so Akhtubinsk hosts important military aviation facilities deep within Russian territory, highlighting the strategic significance of this location at 650 kilometers or about 400 miles from the front lines. Then also on the map, the Russian Volunteer Corps, or the RDK, conducted a successful sabotage operation on a railway in Russia's Sverdlovsk region, 1,600 kilometers away, which is almost exactly 1,000 miles neat. The nighttime attack damaged the railway infrastructure and affected a freight train en route to military unit 58661, which is, quite coincidentally, located in Akhtubinsk, from where we just came. But if it's not a coincidence, then someone really has it in for Akhtubinsk and its military aviation facilities. And so as for this latest coordinated strike, it not only disrupted the railway line, but also impacted the supply chain for Russian troops, as the train was reportedly carrying materials intended for military use. So the incident demonstrates the RDK's ability, and other various partisan groups based inside of Russia, to carry out precise attacks on Russian logistics and infrastructure, as these groups certainly continue to seek and act in such a way that will slow down or stop Russia's war machine. Then briefly into the Stavropol region of Russia, as it's not always just Russians dealing with heating or electricity outages with concerns for the upcoming winter, because in this instance, some residents of the region have been grappling with a severe water crisis for over 2 weeks now, prompting the residents to appeal directly to President Putin, and we all know how that one goes. The shortage caused by lack of funding has also led to livestock and poultry fatalities, and significant difficulties in daily life. The local water utility co specifically cites a lack of funds for repair, projecting water restoration by 2025. Can you imagine? I'm no stranger to being notified by my local water supply company about the water being switched off for an hour or two, once every 3 to 6 months, for maintenance or infrastructure upgrades. But even having to wait a day, a week, a month, or quoted the following year is utterly ridiculous. And here's the added Kremlin catch again, because while the local administration claimed to have addressed the issue following the residents' appeal, townspeople completely dispute this, stating that the water supply has not been restored. So this is consistently the Kremlin way and the regional administration way. Lie about it, cover it up, say it was fixed, and just not allow it to broadcast this type of information on Russian state-run media. Then headed into the Ukrainian map today, all the way to Zaporizhia, as 3 explosions were heard in Melitopol overnight, with incidents like these in the region that have been less frequent in recent times, making this event particularly noteworthy. The sudden uptick in military activity might be attributed to the very recent reports of the increased Russian military presence in the region, as they aspire to give this sector another red-hot go, militarily speaking, from a Russian counteroffensive point of view. And in response, the armed forces of Ukraine appear to have adjusted their overall strategy in the region, being fully aware of the risks for this location, and in doing so, focusing their efforts on targeting key military installations. Then on the map, and following up to the earlier mention of yet another Russian air defense complex taken out, this time it was a Russian Buk air defense system. The target was tracked by an artillery reconnaissance brigade named Chornly Lis, who is known for hunting down important targets deep behind enemy lines, with numerous rare and expensive pieces of Russian military equipment already to their credit. Now, although the Buk system can be operated as part of a larger modular system, this destroyed component is the main transporter, erector launcher, and radar system, or TELAR system, which means the vehicle carries its own radar, missiles, and 4 launch tubes, allowing it to operate independently from a larger communication network. And costing around $15 million US, it certainly is a worthy target to prioritize for any opposing force. Then also on the map, we saw that the Ukraine's 14th Separate Mechanized Brigade sought out and destroyed a Russian 122mm BM-21 Grad multiple launch rocket system, which appeared to be hiding as best it could in quite a voluptuous or thick tree line area. Sneaky, but not sneaky enough. Then also, we saw more and more Russian Desert Cross buggies getting destroyed by FPV munitions, this time from Ukraine's 23rd Separate Battalion. And doing so here, and here. Then also on the map, quite impressively, we saw the destruction of a Russian field ammunition depot. And just look at the size of that ensuing cloud of smoke in comparison to the tree lines and the massive shadow that it casts as well. Now, the Russian army has come to learn the hard way that they need to spread their ammunition depots wide and thin into the field, but there was clearly a decent amount of ordnance in this latest example. Then headed across to some news for today. So Bulgaria has discovered surplus ammunition in its military warehouses and is prepared to offer it to Ukraine. Now, despite Bulgaria officially providing only 2 packages of military aid to Ukraine, the country has played a somewhat significant but covert ammunition supply role since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion, with us now knowing that Bulgaria secretly supplied Ukraine with substantial amounts of ammunition and fuel earlier in the conflict, right at the very beginning, at a time Ukraine needed it most. Then to a quick Russian hardware update, a motorcycle update, as Russian forces have most recently modified trail bikes with smoke-emitting devices reportedly to provide screening from Ukrainian drones and direct fire. However, this latest modification has backfired, as demonstrated in a video posted by a Russian military blogger, where it turned out the smoke trail produced by the modified bikes actually makes them easier to track and target for the Ukrainian forces, acting more like a tracer than effective concealment. Then to some Russian economy news, as Russian authorities have announced the reinstatement of a ban on petrol exports effective August 1, as this decision comes after a brief period of lifted restrictions a few weeks back following the initial ban imposed in March due to Ukrainian drone strikes on oil refineries. So the renewed export ban is a response to significant domestic market pressure, with reports indicating that gasoline prices in Russia have surged dramatically, with RON 95 or premium gasoline or super unleaded, depending on your country's naming conventions, that saw those gasoline prices increase by a staggering 44% since early July. Also, lower octane 92 grade of fuel has seen a 23% price increase since the beginning of this year. Now, that last figure might not sound too much of a big deal, but should be taken within the context of how Russia has traditionally had very stable, unchanging gasoline prices for their own local markets, with almost unchanged prices for 10 years, leading up to the foreign policy decision of theirs to, invade another country. And Russia used to be quite boastful about this reality of these cheap gas prices. But now, with the bite of sanctions in place, not to mention Ukrainian drones targeting Russian oil refineries, the old status quo of a situation for the country has now changed dramatically. Then headed across to a bit of a combination segment to round it all off for today, guys. So a Russian military mobilization blunder segment and a funny segment, as in a strike in development, Moscow has dramatically increased its incentives for military recruitment. Because as of yesterday, the Russian capital is offering an unprecedented 1.9 million rubles, which is about 22,000 US dollars or about 20,000 euros, as a one-time signing bonus incentive for residents who commit to a contract for military service in Ukraine. Bearing in mind that that amount is almost equal to 2 years of the average salary in Russia. And this figure, which comes on top of regular monthly payments, represents a 200,000 ruble increase from the previous peak offer of 1.7 million rubles from just a few weeks ago, and in total is a whopping tenfold increase from earlier invasion level sign-up bonuses. So this new increase in enlistment bonuses contradicts long-held assumptions about Russia's vast reserves of military manpower, as there is always nuance here, because although Russia has plenty of manpower, they don't have plenty of military manpower, due to there being no general mobilization within the country of Russia, and it's just a quote-unquote limited special military operation, where it's still officially illegal within Russia to call it a war. Putin and the Kremlin really sowed their own seeds there with that one. A bit of a problematic technicality of a catch-22. So for what is often referred to as an almost limitless source of cannon fodder within Russia is instead what appears to be a human resource that is becoming increasingly scarce or reluctant, with this latest act of desperation suggesting the mounting difficulties in attracting volunteers for military service. Now, some of you might also question, will those sign-up bonuses even get paid? Well, starting out, if they do get paid, then this will burn a detrimentally massive hole in Russia's national wealth fund. But if they don't get paid, then that kind of news travels real fast in this type of environment, leading to a significant decline in morale and trust among the population, causing unrest and further complications for the Russian leadership. And so for me to say that Russian state coffers are running dry might sound like a bit of a reach, and yet mere seconds before putting this video together, straight from the horse's mouth, Putin himself said that there's no money or no extra money left. Even I didn't think Putin was capable of vocalizing those types of concerns, much less in a televised format. And with the utter look of defeat in his face. Astonishing stuff. So a meeting with the head of the accounts chamber, Putin stated this and followed up by saying that financial discipline must be scrupulously monitored. And so what did Putin do? Appointed the son of one of his closest associates and confidants, Yuri Kovalchuk, to the head of the accounts chamber, which is exactly the type of non-merit-based appointments of head that got him into this problematic state of financial affairs in the first place. Insert Picard meme. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks again for watching. Please continue to like and comment, and I do hope to see all of you guys there in the next one. Cheers.